In this video, I'm going to share with you 4 things that are going to actually practically improve your aim in Call of Duty. These are all going to apply pretty much whatever rank you are, it doesn't really matter. So the first tip is going to be using your left stick or strafing. Now, when you use your left stick or strafe, if you didn't know, and many of you may know, basically when you strafe with your left stick and your left stick is moving, I do have a controller layout up, which you can see how I'm moving my left stick. That's going to kick in your rotational aim assist. If you do not touch your left stick while you're ADS to even hit an enemy with aim assist on, you really won't get nearly as much aim assist because it's not going to kick in that rotational aim assist. So basically what you want to do is always be strafing at least left and right. You could also do circles like this as well. It really doesn't matter. I tend to just do left and right. But if you watch pro players ever play or anybody that's really consistently good at the game, they pretty much are always moving like this whenever they are even holding an angle or taking a gunfight. Also, if we take a look at the loadout, something I don't hear many people talk about, and I didn't really realize how important this was until I kind of figured it out in Black Ops 4. In regards to strafing, the reason the pros and all the best meta class setups, especially in rank play, use an attachment like this stock is because it adds significant aim walking movement speed, which essentially is your strafe speed. So by adding that, it makes this left and right strafe faster, which actually does make quite a big impact, more than you would think, even though it's subtle, when it comes to winning gunfights. Because by you strafing left and right, not only are you getting more rotational aim assist, but also you're going to be just that much harder to hit because you're strafing at random. So even them missing 1 or 2 bullets as they're trying to aim in on you as you're strafing left and right can actually make a big difference in a gunfight. It could be the difference in a gunfight if you can make them miss 1 or 2 bullets just by doing the strafe. So that's also an added benefit on top of the added aim assist you're going to get. And the same thing applies for the Dravic class as well, of course. That's why all the pros use this serval stock. It adds a bunch of aim walking movement speed or whatever. So basically the strafe is just a lot faster. It's even faster on the sub than the M15. So it's just really good. Helps make the enemies miss and gives you more aim assist. Alright, to demonstrate this second tip, we're going to be covering centering. Now if you don't know what centering is, it's basically like crosshair placement is called in other games. So basically you have this dot in the middle of your screen, or crosshair if you don't have it set to a dot, but you're basically going to still have a dot in the middle of your screen either way. I just have a green dot is how I have mine set. You can change those in like the interface settings if you do want to change that. But basically with centering, it's very, very important, and especially at the lower ranks, I would say platinum and below especially, but even up into like diamond and stuff. If you don't have good centering, like a lot of people in those ranks don't, it's going to be a huge reason you're losing gunfights. Because you're going to be having to react and like snap all the way over and adjust your aim as opposed to already being aimed where they're going to be. And that's why it's really, really important. So let's just use this as an example. People like to hold down here, on this head glitch all the time. So basically, when you turn this corner, you don't want to be aimed right here. You don't want to do this and then, oh, now I got to snap over there. I mean, yeah, even if you're really good, you're still going to spend so much time, and just like right here, you're basically dead. I mean, if the person over there is any decent at all, even if you're looking like here, like look how far off I am from actually aiming at them. I have to come all the way over here and do that. When you peek an angle, and this applies to literally any angle in the game, I'm just using long here on exposure as an example because it's a really common head glitch that a lot of you can probably relate to, especially if you play rank play. But basically, and this is why people also get accused of hacking when they have good centering, because what you are doing essentially is looking through the wall at the spot you're about to challenge. So like if I'm going to challenge this, I'm not looking over here as I'm turning the corner like this. I'm looking pretty much like right here, So this is why it's going to look like they're cheating, and why you might even accuse other people of cheating. But if you get really good at it, when you turn this corner, you're going to know just kind of out of muscle memory and just using your eyes, you're going to kind of know exactly where to aim. But as long as you're like even like close, like at least do like this. Even this alone is so much easier than like if you round the corner like this. Because then you got to turn all the way over and snap over like that. So just make sure you're kind of looking through walls basically at the angle you're trying to peek, so that when you do peek, your crosshair is like, I mean, you're already on them just like that. So as soon as you turn that corner, you're already able to shoot them and kind of expecting that gunfight. In general, as you navigate the map, always be like looking where they're going to be, not just like this or something. Like you want to be looking here. As I come around here, I'm going to clear here. I'm going to go here. I'm going to look up here, and then I'm going to look on this barrel head glitch, and anybody coming down this lane, clear that corner. You're just always aiming where you're expecting them to most likely be. And as long as you do that, you're going to minimize getting caught off guard as much, and you're gonna just overall have much better accuracy and win a lot more gunfights that way, especially if you are, like I said, platinum rank or below, because people have really bad centering at those ranks. And if you start doing, like I said, and looking through walls, basically, like if I'm going to chow this doorway, I'm going to look right here and then peek it. And if someone is just standing there, they're going to think you're wall hacking if they're a lower rank. That's just kind of how it works. So for tip number 3, I know everybody's got a video on these, but I'm just going to run you through some controller settings, some aiming specific settings that I think are really important when it comes to aiming. So you want to make sure you have these kind of configured correctly, and I'll kind of explain a little bit of my reasoning why. So with your stick sensitivity, most pros play on like 1.65 for the most part. That's equivalent to like 6.6 or 7.7 in the old system, if you remember that. I don't know why they changed it, but anyways, 1.65 in my opinion is like the good baseline. If you can just go with that and stick with it, I think the most important thing with sensitivity is once you find something you like, just stick with it and don't change it a lot, or you're gonna have variation. You need to just find something that you feel good with and you just stick with. For me, I've always liked playing a little bit higher since. I used to play like 1.7 or 7.5. Anymore, I just leave mine on 1.8. I really wouldn't go too much higher than this. I wouldn't go any higher than 1 point or any higher than 2 probably. It's probably getting too high, unless you just want to. Again, at the end of the day, it's all personal preference. But for like competitiveness, I'd say stay around 1.6 at the lowest. Anything lower than that's going to be pretty slow. I mean, you could probably get away with 1.5 in the low ranks, but I would try to at least stick with 1.65 as your baseline. Work from there based on your comfort level, and then just practice with it and get used to it. And then if you come to the bottom of this page, dead zones, very important. Here, stick drift is going to be kind of a factor. It's going to depend controller to controller. I've personally never had too much issue with stick drift. Thankfully, I use just a default PS5 controller. But with your left stick minimum, this is for your movement, your left stick, which you will be needing to strafe with. I recommend just putting this all the way down to like 1. You could do 0 even, but then technically it'll always be like all the way on 0, which basically means like as soon as you touch your stick, your movement's going to kick in kind of faster. Is a basic, simple way I would put it. I think having this at 1 is fine, and what I would recommend, just so your movement is really responsive when you do touch that left stick, is going to make sure your strafing kicks in really quickly, and you get that rotational aim assist from tip 1, no problem. When it comes to the left stick maximum for your movement stick, I think a lot of pros anymore tend to turn this down to like 70 or 75. This basically means that you're going to hit your max movement speed a little bit quicker in that dead zone range. But the right stick a minimum, this is where it gets interesting, especially if you have stick drift problems. I really like this very low. I feel like this gives me and I'll just hop into the range here, but I feel like this gives me very fine control of my aim. I just start the match. Well, I accidentally started a match, so I guess I'll just demonstrate here. So basically, I really like having very fine aim, like being able to just barely move my stick. I mean, if you can see my controller layout, it's really like I'm hardly moving my stick, and I'm able to do some really fine adjustments. Now, if you have stick drift, then like badly, then you're not going to be able to go that low. But I would never put it higher than like 5 if you can keep from it. I mean, definitely not higher than 10 ever, or you need a new controller. I would say anywhere between 2 and 5 is good. I really like leaving this on 2. Your right stick maximum you can leave on 99. We go over to the next tab, which is aiming. You want to make sure, of course, your target aim assist is definitely on. You also want to go to aiming advanced settings. Make sure you have your ADS sensitivity transition timing on instant. I think it's just the best. I mean, some people like gradual and stuff. It's not a big deal if you want to play on those, but most pros are on instant. It's probably the best. Aim response curve type, dynamics just the best. Leave your slope scale all the way up on 1. You just really can't go wrong with it. Just get used to it. I'm sure most people have probably already been using it anyways. Some people like to mess around with linear, and I do find linear kind of fun to use. It's more of a like raw input. I have like full control over sort of feel, but I feel like it's less consistent and more difficult to master. So dynamics is going to be your much more consistent setting here, and you just can't go wrong with it, so probably just turn that on. Custom sensitivity per zoom, most people probably just leave this off and just have a regular 1x multiplier on their ADS sensitivity. I used to play with this on 1.05 for the longest time. I've recently turned it down. I just play regular. I could really just turn this off if I wanted, but I like to turn my high zooms up a little bit. Like I said earlier, I play a little bit higher sensitivity, so I was liking being able to turn it up to 1.05. I felt like it was helping me track people while ADS when they were sliding around or moving around quickly, but it really wasn't a big deal, and I felt like maybe at times it was hindering my accuracy and causing me to whiff just a little bit, but that's just a minor thing. Most people probably just leave this on 1. When it comes to the aiming related settings, I almost forgot to mention, you also want to go to graphics, and this can affect your aim quite a bit. want to make sure you're on FOV of, I would say, between 95 and 105. If you come from Warzone and stuff, you can play 120, and it is going to give you lower visual recoil the higher your FOV is, but it's going to make aim assist feel weaker just due to the nature of FOV. It's also going to make targets, the higher your FOV is, targets are going to look farther away. So in rank play, to be accurate, I would recommend between 95 and 105. I used to play 104 a lot. I recently just went down to 103, which is what I used to play in Cold War. I like having it up a little bit just so I feel faster in the game, and have a little bit less visual recoil. A lot of pros play on usually like 95 to 100, if you were curious about that. But I like 103. I would recommend just starting out at like 100 or 103. And if you like that, just stick with that. Also, make sure your ADS field of view is on affected. Is generally going to be the best. As well as weapon field of view, you can set to wide, but these aren't really too important. But definitely your FOV setting is actually important in relation to your aim. Now, the final tip is one I really like to do, whether I'm warming up or just practicing, and it's going to be shooting bots. It's very good, like low effort practice, and you can also practice all the things we talked in the video with the centering and the strafing, and just in general get warmed up and practice. So what you want to do to set up a lobby is first select free for all as your game mode. Then you can set your time limit to 45 minutes, set your score limit to 1,000. Then you can just do the match start time at 5 seconds, and then come over here. You can just do all recruit bots. We're just going to do 11 bots. You can do any map you want. Smaller maps are going to be a little bit better, or just throw on slums. It doesn't really matter. Sometimes I usually like to just use competitive maps that are in rank play just so I can kind of get a feel for all the angles. But you can kind of use whatever map you want. The point of this is going to be kind of just a volume shooting, because of course the bots aren't going to be actually moving around or sliding or jumping off walls, but they are going to be moving targets, kind of simulating some positions enemies might be in. And in general, it's going to give you a lot better reps at getting 100 or 200 bot kills before you go into a rank play game. And it's definitely a lot better than the shooting range as far as an actual warm up. So what you want to do is just run around and focus on having good centering and snapping on people, and actually like kind of like try when you're don't be lazy. I would say when you're shooting bots, I feel like it's easy to like not want to try because they're just bots. I feel like once you get really warmed up good, you should be able to just absolutely zap and be feeling pretty good before you even play a match if you do this as a warm up, which I would recommend. Something I haven't been doing recently, but I used to really like to do, is actually go into my controller settings, go into the aiming, and actually turn aim assist off. It's gonna what that's going to do is totally force you, with no aim assist, to really focus on having actual good aim and tracking, because the aim assist isn't going to be there to save you. And I find if I shoot 50 or 100 bots with no aim assist and then turn my aim assist back on, it really makes that aim assist feel very strong whenever I do turn it back on, and makes me feel much more confident about my aim. That's something I really like to do whenever I want to take the time. I'll shoot, like I said, 50 or 100 bots without aim assist, and then do another 50 to 100 with aim assist, and that'll be a very good warm-up and training sort of routine that I think really makes a big difference. And like I said, you can really feel when you turn that aim assist back on after you get used to it being off. And it's going to be a little bit tough to hit your shots at first with it off. I'm sure you'll notice that. All of us used to aim assist. It's pretty strong, not as strong in this game as other games, but definitely something I'd recommend trying out if you've never tried it especially. I'm going to link my Twitch, first link down in the description if you want to give me a follow. I'm going to try to live stream over there soon, so if I see some follows come in over there, that would be awesome. Hopefully this video helped, and I'll see you guys next time.